Evil Dead Rise just came out. That movie has cool style. There's nothing really original about it, and this is a better Evil Dead movie and what I would have wanted to see out of an Evil Dead movie. What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name's Blaze.
And today we're checking out the recent film that hit Shudder, A Wounded Fawn.
I'm really looking forward to our time here together.
A Wounded Fawn is the story of a serial killer who brings an unsuspecting new victim on a weekend getaway to add another body to his ever-growing count. She's buying into his faux charms and is eagerly lusting for blood. What could possibly go wrong? So this is Travis Stevens' new film. He was a producer on films such as A Horrible Way to Die, and he's also directed films such as Girl on the Third Floor. He, has been around for a while with Snow Fort Pictures, making horror movies, and this film was brought to us directly on Shudder. I think it premiered at the Toronto Film Festival and was acquired there by Shudder. Anyways, James, what do you think of this movie?
Yeah, so I'm glad you kind of brought this movie up just because I wasn't too familiar with the filmmaker. I know the actor Josh Rubin, mainly know him as a director, but he usually stars in a lot of his movies that we've also checked out here on the show. I believe Scare Me was one of the, if not, it was either our first or second movie ever for fresh releases, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's a fantastic actor and fun to watch, and I was excited to check out this movie just because, the director, wanted to see what he's done, just because producing A Horrible Way to Die as well as a bunch of other Snoot films is like a big thing, just because I've been wanting to see who's those next big directors that are going to fill the void that I have now that Adam Wingard, Ty West, Joe Swanberg have all gone on to do bigger movies and bigger studio films, and for the most part. And is this movie it? It's a very different movie, but I really enjoyed it. I absolutely love this movie. It's one of the better horror films I've seen. Nothing about it is necessarily original, I guess you could say, but just the performances are there, and I like the way it sets off with that slasher feel with the opening kill scene, as well as just kind of setting up who the killer is right from the get-go too, as well as this movie just has style overall. Evil Dead Rise just came out. That movie has cool style. There's nothing really original about it, and this is a better Evil Dead movie and what I would have wanted to see out of an Evil Dead movie instead of what we got, I'd say. But what are your initial thoughts on it?
Funny enough, I think the homage is there. It's fairly obvious, but it's never so in your face or annoying. Our main character's name is Bruce. It takes place in the woods. There's a cabin. The little hint is there, but it's never overly trying to be an Evil Dead movie, but it has its moments that are definitely fun. So I kind of like that you saw that as well. But yeah, I felt like Josh Rubin, definitely, we saw him in Scare Me, and he's one of those actors. He's also a director, but he's also an actor who, just has this likable, nice, charming, funny guy kind of chic to him, and he's definitely, at the forefront of this, spins it on its head a little bit. He's that charming serial killer almost, and it's definitely cool to see him in a different role, especially by the end of this movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed seeing him in front of the camera again. It was cool. We saw Werewolves Within, but I don't think he was really in that too much. I think he's just in the director's chair for that one. But yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. But this movie, I feel like there's two acts here. The first at play, like you said, you kind of reveal, it's not really much of a spoiler, it's literally the first scene. You reveal that, Josh Rubin is a serial killer. But throughout the course of this movie, it definitely takes twists and turns that you wouldn't expect, especially in that second act.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to like spoil too much, even though it sounds like we might have spoiled a lot. But going back to like visuals and stuff, and just like what I liked about this movie, shot on 16 millimeter, but shot so beautifully and like mastercraft to where it feels like a authentic homage to like, you know, old 70s movies or early 80s movies. Like a movie that I enjoy overall for its visual looks and feel is House of the Devil. That movie's a little dull on the narrative aspect, even though like kind of the final act of that movie makes it pick up and worth watching. This movie is just entertaining to watch from beginning to end, especially with the visuals of like this, like, you know, overall this character sentiment that Josh Rubin is seeing throughout the movie, his character of Bruce. But then also when we get to the more supernatural elements of just like some of the visuals that he's actually seen, our nightmare fuel, like seeing a woman's face on top of a dog is something that, like, you know, it might not be necessarily creepy to some people, but just like it's hilarious to see. But also at the end of the night, just when I think of that, though, it's just unsettling to think about. And like just a lot of cool moments like that. And then as well as like the chimney sequence within this movie, even though it's not the most graphic, it's still like just like makes you tingle, and just like it's like there's just a lot of like images that are going to stick with me that I highly enjoyed, like from a cinematography standpoint.
Yeah, I think that scene brought me straight back to Mars Attacks. At least that scene scarred me as a kid. In Mars Attacks, you know, you kind of got both. You got a dog with a human face, and you got a face with or a human body with a dog face. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, like that scarred me as a kid, both those images. But yeah, it's honestly, I thought a lot of the effects in this film were well done. I thought the costumes were well done. There's some here and there where it's like, that might not be the best, but then they always like make up for it with another scene where you're like, oh wow, that's actually like really impressive. For I'm sure the budget for this film wasn't that like crazy large or anything. But yeah, this film definitely impressed. It to not spoil too much, but give you a kind of at least a teaser. I felt like this film was definitely inspired by, like we mentioned before, Evil Dead. The second act very inspired by, it feels something like Twin Peaks-esque. There's moments here and there where it feels like this could be straight in a David Lynch directed episode of Twin Peaks. And I think that was something that I really enjoyed the most. And then, I mean, one of the craziest, I honestly feel like ending scene into the end credits that I've seen in a while. Like, it was honestly jarring, and like unlike, you know, when you go to the theater and you go to see the latest Marvel movie and you wait through the whole credits just to watch one scene, this time I was just watching the end credits, like wondering, is it gonna really go the whole way? Like, you know,
it's just 3 minutes of uncomfortableness. Yeah, like they really committed to the bit, I guess you could say. Like, yeah, just upload that to TikTok, just 3 minutes of that, and just like, what is going on here? It's a fun way to watch the movie, and, you know, well deserved too. And something that I thought was funny, like this is kind of spoiler territory, but you know, when the character Bruce kills like Meredith supposedly and knocks her out, and then, you know, he's removing her dress, like they show like her stomach in the background. I was like, she's still breathing. Like, what the hell's up with this editor and continuity not calling out? Like, but it's low budget, 16 millimeter. They probably didn't have the time to go back and stuff. And then, like, you know, the twist comes up that, like, you know, she's still alive and knocks him out unconscious and, you know, puts that dent in his skull. But like, that was just a fun story. I thought while watching the movie, I was like looking for, I was like, hey, she's still breathing. I see her tummy moving and her abs are flexing right now.
And little did you know, it was definitely on purpose.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't, and they rewrote the whole movie right there. That could be possible. What if they watch the dailies and they're like, we gotta like rewrite the script? Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But anyways, yeah, that like this film was definitely one where I felt like it comes in at a decent runtime. It's not overly long or anything. It definitely catches you off guard. There's plenty of enjoyable twists and turns. That first act is honestly really, really entertaining, and I think it has to do a lot with our actors. You know, you care about your characters, but they're also really interesting to just see interact with each other, and it's really just setting the groundwork for, you know, the themes of the movie. So I really enjoyed this, where it feels like it didn't feel overly like it was hitting you on the top of the head with like a feminist movie, I guess you would say. But I do definitely see that there are those elements and tones throughout this movie.
Yeah, 100% agree with that and everything. It's just really like fun take on just, you know, a genre that we've kind of seen before, or maybe not genre, but just, you know, sequences and a story that feels familiar. But I really like the aspect of incorporating art and then this mythology of like, you know, previous stories of like, I'm not sure where the statue's like origins were at. They might have explained it at one point and stuff. But, you know, incorporating that as well as this just like godlike take of, you know, these beings and stuff that he's seen in his head and where the victims go and how they kind of torment him and stuff. Like, you know, it's just really fun and like visually like just like something that I'm gonna keep in my head. Like a lot of this would make great metal album artworks, like some of the shots that you see within this movie. So yeah, like, you know, take my word for it, take Blaze's word for it. Like, I think it's worth a watch and stuff too, whether you're a horror enthusiast. And even though, like, you know, it's a pretty abstract, I'd still see people like, you know, still enjoying this movie, even if like, you know, this isn't their cup of tea, like genre wise and stuff too. You can check it out there at Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. It's also streaming on Shudder. So if you check it out, come back here, let us know what you thought about it in the comments.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, catch all our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our Letterboxd accounts. And check out our new show, Screen Scuffle. New episodes coming out here and there, but fun time. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.